Right. Last time on the Bodhicharya Avatara, which was it 2 weeks ago? Or was it 3 now? I forget. We went very quickly through verse 19, chapter 5, verse 19. So I was thinking we'll just go through that again fairly rapidly and then move on to the next verse, verse 20. So I will now, if I can find a bit, share my screen. Right, you should all have verse 19 of the Bodhicharya Avatara. So we went through this last time, just go through it once more. I will read it, and then if there's anybody here, and I'm not naming names, who has a really genuine, authentic accent from the northern half of India, I will ask her to read it. I think that narrows it down to you, Charan. So, hang on. Oh no, Ashvina is with us. Ashvina, if you want to volunteer to read it as well, that would be good, as well as Charan. So, Kimuttaham naro jatya shakto jnatung hitahitam sarvajna nityan utsargad bodhing kim napnuyam maham. And Charan, would you like to read that for us as well, or even chant it if you're into the chanting?
I will try. This is
okay. Please do,
new
Charan.
New text for me, so I'm not well practiced.
Oops.
There it goes. Kim utaham naro jatya shakto nyatum hitahitam sarvanya nityan utsargad bodhim kim napnuyam maham.
That was really nice. I was interested by your pronunciation of the gnya sound, the ones I think in Marathi you pronounce as the gnya, and the one that in Hindi they pronounce as a gya, as in gyan.
Yes.
How did you pronounce that? I think you pronounced it just as a nya, did you?
Yeah, like a nasalized j, so nya.
Okay, right. Almost everything else in Sanskrit, there seems to be a wide measure of agreement how it should be pronounced. But this jna, as in jnatum, and sarvajnaniti, that's this letter here in the Devanagari. If you listen to the Vedic chanting online, which is you get a fair amount of. I mean, plenty of it to find. Is like a nya sound. You put the tongue as if it's going to say a j. You don't complete the j. You have it there, then move straight onto a nya. Nya, nya. But now I think that in Marathi they pronounce it, I believe, like that, like a nya. In Hindi it becomes a gya, as in gyan. Charan, can you say clearly how you were pronouncing it again?
So, I mean, in Punjabi, we'd say gyan too.
So
the way I was taught that in Sanskrit, it's more like nya.
Right, okay. But there's a little bit of a dip before it, nya.
Mm.
If you listen to the Vedic chanting I say online, you'll hear it, nya.
Yeah.
And that's the one that in Pali just becomes a pure nya, like the Spanish N with a tilde over it. Ashina, I see that your hand is up.
Oh, so sorry, that was a moment ago when I wasn't able to connect.
Yeah.
I'm able to connect now.
Okay, so, good, very good. Would you like to read this verse or even chant this verse for us, Ashina?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. but this is the first time I'm looking at it, so I need a minute to. Would you say it once and then I'll say it?
Okay.
The long word in the second line, especially.
The long word in the second line, especially. Okay. In fact, that's a combination. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a combination of 6 elements, of course, merged into one.
Okay.
It's sarva, jna, niti, and utsargad. Sarva, jna, niti, and utsargad. Sarva, jna, niti, and utsargad.
Got it.
Right.
Thank you.
Are you ready, or shall I say it once more?
No, I'm ready. Yeah.
Good. Please go ahead.
So I'm just kind of saying it. I'm not chanting it in the beautiful way that Charan just did. I'm not sure how to do that. So I will just read it like prose, I guess.
Okay, please do.
Kimutaham naro jatya shakto gyatum hita hitam sarvagyanityanutsargat bodhim kim na pruyaham.
Okay, very good. Now, was that with the Marathi pronunciation of Pune?
My gear pronunciation is closer to the Hindi pronunciation.
Okay, right, yeah, fine. Actually, it's really useful to have these slightly different accents. I love hearing them all. Right. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. One thing, Ashina, I've seen your name written as an Ashina without a V and as Ashwina with a V. Which one is it?
It's both.
It's both. Okay.
Ashina is the one that's more commonly used, but feel free to use whichever one you prefer.
So Ashina and Ashvina are both right,
yes.
Are they?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Okay, thank you very much then, Ashvina.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, just briefly to recap what we were saying, kim uttaham, kim utta aham, what then me? Means what about me then? So if people who are now Buddhas were once gnats and gadflies, how much more can I, who actually have the benefit of being a human being? Kim uttaham naro jatya, a human by birth. Shakto jnatum hitahitam. Shakto, able, jnatum, to know. So our roots jna, to know. Jnatum, the infinitive. Shakto jnatum, capable of knowing. In Sanskrit, you say capable to know, literally. Shakto jnatum hitahitam. The hita and the ahita, join them together, hita. The hita, remember, is the past participle of the root dha. It's an irregular past participle. If it were regular, it would be dhata, but it's irregular, so it becomes hita, literally placed. And then by extension, well placed. And by further extension, that which is good or right. There is the Sanskrit work, roughly the equivalent of, partly the equivalent of Aesop's fables, which is the Hitopadesha, which is the Hita Upadesha, the friendly, the wise advice. The Buddha taught Hitaya, for the good of the world. So Shakto Jnatum Hitahitam, capable of knowing good and bad, right and wrong. Sarvajna Nityanut Sargad. Sarga means leaving or emitting, sending out. Utsarga, the letting go or the abandonment. Anutsarga, the non-abandonment. Remember always that in English, to use a double negative tends to be somewhat weak, to negate a negation, whereas in Sanskrit, same as in classical Greek, actually, it's not regarded as weak at all. It even strengthens it. because you're saying what you should not be doing and then negating the not, something you must avoid. So utsargad, by the non-abandonment. And this is in the ablative, which is the ending at, and the ending at, of course, before a voiced consonant b becomes a d. Anutsargad bodhim. So by the non-abandonment of what? Of the niti. Niti from the root ni, meaning to lead or to guide. So by the non-abandonment of the niti, of the guidance, whose guidance? Sarvajna, of the omniscient, the all-knowing. Sarvajna, omniscience, all-knowing, omniscient. So by the anutsargad, by the non-abandonment of the niti, of the guidance of the sarvajna, of the all-knowing, the sarvajna niti anutsargad, bodhin kim na apnuyam. So kim na apnuyam, aham. Kim, meaning why should I, aham, na apnuyam, why should I not obtain or achieve bodhim? So before we move on to number 20, verse 20, are there any queries arising out of 19? From which I take it that you are all entirely conversant with the meaning. Actually, I'm going to, okay, you reckon you are, Mariana. Okay, I'm going to test you. Unmute, please, Mariana.
Bad idea. Go on.
Okay, can you just explain the meaning of the ablative? Where is the ablative in this verse, and what force does it have?
Sargat, you said, and it is the Panchami Vibhakti.
Did you say Vibhakti?
Yeah.
You're allowed to say that at the next class, which is the Pali class. In this one, the Sanskrit, you're going to say Vibhakti. The k and the ta. Vibhakti. Okay. You've got to be more Latin than Italian in this one.
All right. And it says not having by the non-abandoning of the guidance of the all-knowing.
Yeah.
In a way, in our way of thinking, it would be an instrumental through the non-abandonment.
If you put the instrumental there, it would be correct. You could have both.
Even in Sanskrit?
Even in Sanskrit.
There you go. I'm going to rewrite it then.
There you go. And this is known as the ablative of cause, means by reason of, by cause of.
All right.
Right.
Okay.
Just as in English, we could equally say by non-abandoning and from non-abandoning. You could say both in English.
Yeah, so how many functions can the Panchami Vibhakti has? 2, 3, 4, just one? More than one? Because normally it means coming from...
Exactly so. It depends. How many functions can it have? Interesting point there. It depends on your taxonomic preferences. You can get more and more detailed into how many functions you can identify. However, they all come back to one basic idea, which is the idea of from.
Or due to.
Due to or from, yeah. So even from is like due to. What does it arise out of?
Okay. All right.
And that's why, for example, in Sanskrit, you could the bhaya, fear. You can have a genitive, or as in English, you're fearful of, and French avoir peur de quelque chose. but it can also have the ablative, because the idea is that the cause of your fear. So you can use the ablative. So yes, you can define various different functions, but they all come back to one basic function. It's the origin or cause, or where it comes from, either physical origin or psychological origin.
If there was an instrumental there, would any shade of meaning change or go on?
I did what it Sargena can buy the Sargena. I would say that Utsargena could conceivably have slightly more of the idea of agency to it, possibly conscious agency.
Okay.
But that's just but like almost a subliminal perception that I have.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. But rather like in English, you could say by non-abandoning or from non-abandoning without any real distinction of meaning.
Okay.
But again, you might have the same distinction, meaning by non-abandoning suggests the non-abandonment is an act performed by me. And from the non-abandoning might just be, well, we have the situation of a non-abandoning, and out of that, something else arises. So there could be that very subtle difference in Sanskrit as we have in English.
Okay. Good.
Right. So let us go on now to.
May I ask one question?
Yes, please, Bhante.
Yeah, very simple question.
I was going to say, please make it simple, because some of your questions really, really test me. If it's a simple one, that's great.
No, don't worry, that's okay.
Thank you. I'm relieved.
Kimutahan narojat yatwa sakto nyatum hita. According to this handout, the meaning could be the right and wrong. Hita, right and wrong. Actually, I'm really familiar with the meaning of the welfare. Hita, welfare,
yes, exactly,
and non-welfare. So, right and wrong. Which dictionary say this definition? The McDonald or?
I don't think I've actually looked at the dictionary definition for many, many years. I think it's just from seeing a great deal of stuff written in Sanskrit. The hitta and the ahita has got this broad meaning of that which is good and that which is bad, that which is helpful in human life, that which is not. It also can mean friendly and unfriendly, favorable or unfavorable, right and wrong. They're very, very broad meanings. So that's why we've got to be very careful in English. It means good or bad. No, it means right and wrong. No, it's broader. In fact, these words hitta and ahita, as you're right, for example, the Buddha was,
yes, for example, Buddha said, Sarvesang hitaya.
Sarvesang hitaya, that's the dative there, hitaya, say for the good, for the welfare, for the benefit. Yeah. So that's part of what we're doing here. Don't get stuck on the translation. Doesn't mean exactly that in English. You feel what it means in Sanskrit and Pali. So, Sarvesang in Pali, Sarvesang hitaya. For the, what did he do it? For the good, the benefit, the welfare, all of these things. So here, I mean, this is the Skelton, what's the name? Crosby and Skelton translation, good from bad. Again, good, and what does good mean in English? It's got such a wide range of meanings. It's anything from the Buddha taught for the good of mankind, to this bit of spaghetti bolognese is really good. I mean, these were pretty. Yeah, okay, I got the Italian, but this is really such a wide range of meaning. So the hitta and ahita is anything that's good in this very, very wide range of meanings.
I suppose you can say proper and not proper as well. Can you? Meaning well placed and not well placed, or?
Yeah, in fact, the well placed or appropriate, well placed. Yeah, you could, provided you're just filling in gaps in the, all of the possible words that can be used to translate this. Again, what it actually means would be, how it's best translated would be contextual. And I think that's the reason probably that Crosby and Skelton chose good and bad, because the meanings of those are so broad. Oh, incidentally, I've just spotted here, the Crosby and Skelton says good from bad, to know good from bad, to be able to discern between one and the other. It's a dvandva compound in Sanskrit, is just hita ahita, able to know good bad, meaning good and bad, one and the other. A dvandva compound is where you just join two nouns which could have an and in the middle. You can leave out the and.
I see. And so you don't use the declension in there for hita. You don't say itam cha ahitam. It is
Sakto jnatum hitancha ahitancha would be perfectly correct. You could.
Okay, but then you decline. You use the neuter. Hitam.
Hitam ahitam. That's if you were using them as separate words. But as normal, because it's a compound, you decline only the final element.
Okay, thank you.
There are a very, very few exceptions to that rule.
So excuse me, in this here, Shakto Jnanum Hita Hitam, it may be the Dutiya Vibhakti, don't you think so? That is not Pratama Vibhakti.
It is Dutiya Vibhakti, yeah, because it's the object, it's the accused, it's the object of Jnatum.
Yes, so N2S here, don't you think so? Hita Hitam, N1S, not N1S.
I have made a silly mistake. Thank you for pointing out my silly mistake. You are right, it is N2, neuter Dvitiya Vibhakti. Thank you for pointing that out, Bhante.
That's okay.
You see the mistake that you can fall into if your mind has wandered off elsewhere, because for the neuter, the first and the second, the nominative and accusative, have the same form. You're absolutely right. N2S. Have I made any other mistakes here? Look. Oh, no, that's N1S. No, that's it. I think that's the only mistake there. Let me know if there are more. Thank you for that. Actually, I did find that after I'd got past the age of about 60, I actually enjoyed being wrong, because if you're shown to be wrong about something, it means you're getting rid of some rubbish out of your head. I wish I'd known that when I was 20. Life would have been a lot easier if I'd enjoyed being wrong at 20. The problem was I never was wrong at 20. I knew everything then. Right. Here we go now, verse 20. Atapi hastapadadi datavyam iti me bhayam. Guru Laghava Mudhatvam Tanme Syada Vicharta. And once more. Atapi hastapadadi datavyam iti me bhayam. Guru Laghava Mudhatvam Tanme Syad Avicharta. So, do we have any volunteers to read that again before we analyze? And since this isn't an Eganus class, I really will be volunteers this time. A volunteer, please, to read that in Sanskrit. I was going to say, thank you, Charan. But let's have a volunteer who hasn't done it yet. Did I see a hand raised by anyone? Okay, yes, Mariano with this, yes. The willing victim.
I like to make a fool of myself.
Oh, Mariano, come on, you do it very. Sanskrit al pesto, as we say. As you say yourself.
Atapi hasta padadi datavyam iti me bhayam guru lagava mudatvam tamme syad avicharataha.
Okay, very good. So, atta, the meaning of atta is mainly here, like in this place. But it also, as in rhetoric, it can be used just to introduce a new concept on this point, here at this place. Here, I would say, on this point. So, atapi, the atapi is slightly emphatic. And then again, but, ooh, be careful, then again. It's like in his mind, he's wondering, is this or that? Atapi, then again, but on the other hand, atapi, hasta padadi datavyam. Hasta, hand, pada, foot, adi, etc. The literal meaning of the word adi is a beginning. I remember there was that, you heard it being chanted all over London by the hippies in the 1960s. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That one, so Govindam, the Adi Purusham, the beginning person, the primal man, the primal human being. So Adi. So Adi means a beginning. When it is the final member of a compound, it means like, that's the list beginning with. So hasta pada adi, literally hand, foot, beginning, a list of things beginning with my hands and my feet. So in English, we would say etc. Now, a grammatical note on the form of adi here. In classical Sanskrit, where a compound ends with an adi, it's normally either an adjective, or adi would be put in the plural, hasta padadaya, hand, foot, beginning. It would be put in the plural. In Shantideva just slightly departed from classical Sanskrit grammar, and he's used adi as a neuter. Adi on its own is actually a masculine noun, but at the end of a compound here, he's used it as a neuter. It's okay, a slight, a development of Sanskrit. You can use it as so hand, foot, adi, make that as a neuter compound.
So asta and pada are not in any declension because it is a composite, you're saying.
Because it is a compound. How do you know that adi is being used as a neuter here?
Datavyam.
Well done, datavyam, because the datavyam is a neuter adjective, nominative neuter.
Yeah.
And the other clue is that if the adi were being treated as a masculine noun, it would have to have the visarga. So it would be hasta padadir datavyam. But it's a neuter ending in a e, so there's no ending to it.
Okay.
So atapi, but here again, another point that's worrying me, hasta padadi datavyam. the hand, my hand, or my feet, or anything else is the idea, hand, feet, etc. I might have to give up, in other words, lose the hand or the feet, or anything else, the adi. So datavyam, from the root, our root da, to give, datavya, meaning has to be given, the gerundive, needing to be given, has the hand or feet, etc., have to be given. In other words, I might have to lose my hands or my feet.
Well, where is the M in the Devanagari? I can see datavya.
Datavyam. Okay, if you look where I'm highlighting it, datavyam iti.
Yeah.
You got ending in it, and there you are. Look, datavyam iti.
Oh God.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
You've just got to face it like a man, Mariano. In the Devanagari script, we've got the word ending in datavyam. Okay, in Roman script, ending in datavyam, clear. Next word, space. Next word begins iti, clear. In Devanagari, ends in an M. The next word begins in an I. So you get datavyami. It looks like part of the same word.
Bad. Never mind.
Bad. Ahitam. Ahitam, is it?
Dush.
So there we are. Datavyam iti me bhayam. Bhayam means fear. As we cognate with the Greek po, in later pronounced for, as in phobia. Also cognate with our English word fear, Latin pavor, Italian paura, French la peur, and so on. This bhaya. So this meaning of iti, meaning thus. In English we say, I am fearful that something might happen. In Sanskrit you say, what you're fearful of, iti bhayam, thus the fear.
It is quoting a thought, isn't it?
It's quoting a thought, exactly so. So this iti, as I've explained to you before, you can quote exact words, or you can quote a thought, or you can quote kind of the mental cause of something. It has quite a wide range of meaning, but basically it's all down to quoting, either literally quoting or quoting the mental cause of something. So iti me bhayam, thus of me the fear. So on this point, athapi, I'm rather afraid. Me bhayam, to me the fear. Iti me bhayam, of having to lose my hands or my feet. So if you are afraid because of something in this context so trivial as losing your hands or your feet, so trivial, that means if you really got it wrong, you've really failed to distinguish. You're in the mudhatva delusion between the guru and the laghava, between literally the light and the heavy, between the important and the unimportant. So this second line, Guru Laghava Mudhatvam Tanme Syada Vicharata, is a sentence on its own. Mudha, let me just go to my iPad notes. Oh, hang on. Oops. Boom, boom. Sorry. Oops. Here we are. Just go to my iPad notes. Mudhatva. The root mu just means to be bewildered or deluded, or basically to have got something wrong. By guna of the vowel, it becomes moha. And of course, we have in Pali, it's lobha, dosa, moha. I forget which order they give. What's the standard order? Lobha, dosa, moha. Greed, hatred, delusion. We want to make a past participle out of it, as in English we say deluded. So what do? We make the past participle, we take the root plus ta. Meaning deluded, but two things happen. In Sanskrit, you can't have a h followed by a ta. So what actually happens that together becomes a dh. And the vowel lengthens. So muhta becomes mudha, with retroflexion of the d. So mudha. So if you say, you deluded person, mudha. So this then is the past participle, but with an active sense. So deluded, somebody is deluded, mudha. And you make an abstract noun by adding tua. So mudhatva, deludedness, the state of being deluded. This ending tua is a very, very common ending. We see it, for example, in the root as, meaning to be. They are, I put an asterisk there to show I'm putting a deliberately wrong form. It loses its a, so it becomes santi, they are, from which you get the present participle sat or sant, meaning being, as a participle. So a being, make that into a noun, a being, and you get a sattva, using this ending, twa. So Bodhisattva. And of course in Pali it's satta. That's why in Pali we say sabbe satta sukhita hontu, which in Sanskrit would be sarve sattva sukhita bhavantu. So that is this ending twa. It's one of the ways of making an abstract noun. So mudhatva, delusion, the state of being deluded. So, or in a state of being in bewilderment, not being able to tell which is which is why we have here now, Guru Laghava, heavy, light, important, unimportant. Guru Laghava Mudhatvam, literally heavy, light, deludedness. Heavy, light deludedness means the inability to distinguish between what's important and what's not important. So in other words, somebody who's worried about losing his hands or his feet, something as trivial as that in the broader context, is clearly suffering from Guru Laghava Mudhatvam. By the way, the Guru, in earlier form of the language, it was, oops, sorry, let me get to the, in earlier form of the language, it was Garu, meaning heavy. And in Latin, it was gravis, from which, of course, we get gravity, heaviness, from that same root, garu. In English, we talk about a person having gravitas, literally heaviness. In other words, a sense of presence. You know, you feel that you respect him. Somebody has gravitas. And that was how Garu came to mean somebody to whom respect was owed. And as the language developed, that Garu became a guru. Of course, guru now that we know as a teacher. But it's from that, so guru and our word gravity and gravis are from the same origin. Somebody who is heavy in the sense that, no, not something flippant or light, somebody to whom respect is due. By the way, the root laghu is the same in English. Well, almost, when I say it's the same, a couple of slight variations over the millennia. So laghu, Old English licht, and modern English pronunciation light. It's that same word, laghu and light. Light in the sense of, no, the opposite of heavy, not light as in opposite of dark. So laghu is the adjective meaning light, and it's a vridhi derivative, so lightness becomes laghava, literally lightness, so heavy lightness. You could have said gaurava laghava, heaviness, lightness, but you can condense the gaurava into garu, so garu laghava, heavy and light, unimportant and important. So guru laghava mudhatvam tan me syad avichartah. The tan is from tat. Tat means that. We have the yogic incantation, you know, Om Tat Sat, Om, that true, that is the truth. By the way, so when I often translate as the truth, it's the Om Tat Sat, I should say Sat, often translated as the truth. It just means that which is, the being, that which really is. That's why Sat and Satya have come to mean truth. So tan, so the tat by sandhi, tat me becomes tan me. The T becomes nasalized before the following nasal M. Tan me, that to me. Me here is the short form genitive of aham. The full form genitive would be mama, but in enclitic, that's when it's joined onto another word, you can put it in the short form. If this had read tan mama syad avicharata, it would have been equally correct. In its full form, it is permissible to shorten it. It's, yeah. Yeah, I've got a note of it here. So me can be used as an abbreviated form, either of the mahyam to me or mama of me. So tan means, the usual meaning of tat is that, but it can also mean that for that reason, thereby, from that cause. So tan me, thereby to me, syat, may be. Is anyone going to tell me what is the subject of the verb syat? John, were you raising your hands or just adjusting your glasses? This is a verb, syat, meaning it may be or there may be. the subject of that verb is this compound here, Gurulagava Mudhatvam. So there may be, Syad, Gurulagava Mudhatvam, there may be an inability to distinguish between the important and the unimportant, tan, because of that, thereby. Thereby, tan, me syat, there might be for me, me syat, might be for me, Gurulagava Mudhatvam, delusion as to the important and the unimportant. Now, gold star for who explains avicharata in this context. Who will explain avicharata? Okay, Mariano is kind of making a slightly diffident hand movement, which means he kind of thinks he's got it.
The A denies.
Yeah, that's the easy bit. Go on.
Yeah, the vichara. It is about thinking through. So
yeah,
it is not generic thinking. It is thinking through.
That's correct. Yeah, yeah. So, but specifically avicharata.
Taha. And that would be, if you call it ablative, maybe, is it?
It has the form of the ablative because for the consonantal declension, the ablative and the genitive are the same in the masculine and neuter singular. But it has the same form as the ablative, but it's not actually an ablative here.
Okay, we said it means to me there is a confusion due to the inability to tell the important from the unimportant, and that inability would be due to the incapacity to think properly.
Well, kind of, yes, that is the meaning.
Yeah.
But the grammatical function of avicharata, it is an adjective. It is the present participle. And it is the genitive form of the present participle. And it is an adjective, avicharata, qualifying me, literally, of me unthinking.
Oh,
yeah.
Goodness me. Yeah, okay.
So of me unthinking, because I can't think it through, means of me unthinking.
So that is the way you decided that me was actually mama rather than the dative or whatever. Because avicharataha is genitive.
Avicharataha is genitive. It's the same form as the ablative, but by Sanskrit usage, when you talk about somebody suffering from a particular condition, you put him in the genitive. I mean, saying I think in Latin you'd probably put it in the dative, but in Sanskrit it goes in the genitive. And here, although you can't tell for the me here, again it's a short form, but it would be mama. There is not fear to me, there is fear of me. In other words, I have fear. So, tan, thus, thereby, syat comes syad before the vowel, syad. There may be, it's the optative. So, tan me syat, therefore, or thereby, syad, there may be of me unthinking, or of the unthinking me, or In English, because I haven't thought it through properly. In Sanskrit, you say maya vicharata, of the unthinking me, there may be guru laghava mudhatvam, inability to distinguish, delusion or bewilderment with regard to the guru laghava.
You know what, Alpesto? Sia in Italian is the optative of being, the same. It is, apart from the D, it is almost the same.
It is the same. Italian sia, yes. In Latin, that is sit. But sia, and in Spanish, sea. It is exactly that. So your Italian sia, put a T on the end of it, and you're almost speaking Sanskrit there. Right. Who will volunteer now to read through this this verse? Somebody who hasn't read yet. Any volunteers? Actually, I'm not quite sure that I'm allowed to be cruel and make you do it. No, I've said I won't, so I've got to keep my word there. All right, okay. Should we go back to our lovely native Indian speakers? Okay, Charan, would you like to chant it for us in the lovely Punjabi accent?
I have a question first,
please.
On the compound Guru Laghava Mudhatvam. You've got a note explaining that it's sufficient just to have Laghava and not Gaurava.
Okay.
Can you explain that? Because I don't fully understand that.
Okay. First of all, I better make sure that I fully understand what I wrote. I mean, I kind of understood it at the time, I think. Okay. As pure adjectives, heavy and light, guru laghu. And he could have said, and it would have been correct to say, Guru laghu mudhatvam. Guru laghu mudhatvam would have been correct. But rather than just saying heavy and light, Shantideva has made this into an abstract noun, as in heaviness and lightness. Abstract noun. Now one of the ways of making an abstract noun, well, of course, we've seen another way here, add a twa at the end of it. But one way of making an abstract noun is to change the first vowel to a vriddhi. Laghu laghava. The u becomes an ava. So Guru laghava. Actually, I better keep going because I started off as if I really understood it myself. So I'd better kind of maintain the pretense that I have a total understanding of what I'm saying. Hopefully it's more, can I explain it properly? Have you got the idea that laghu is an adjective, light, and laghava as a noun is lightness, right? So if you are just looking at this word alone, laghu laghava, if you're looking at guru alone, it would be guru and make an abstract noun of that, gaurava, guru gaurava. Now you've got a compound here, guru laghu, and you want to make that compound adjective into an abstract noun. You can do it in one of two ways. You can either turn both of the words into abstract nouns, gaurava laghava would have been correct, but also you can get away with just turning the second element into an abstract noun. So here,
it is unusual because the first one does not qualify the second one, does it?
It's a dvandva. Yeah. It doesn't qualify. It's a dvandva. Dvandva is literally a pair, putting two things together where you could have and or. If we go back to the previous verse, hitahitam is the same kind of compound. It doesn't qualify it, but it is an and or an or, good or bad, good and bad. It's a dvandva. Here, sorry, scroll down. It's exactly the same. Guru Laghava is also a dvandva compound. The first one does not qualify the second. It's a pure A and B, or A or B, which you're allowed in Sanskrit to put into just AB. Janet.
I don't know if this is helpful at all, if I've totally misunderstood. My understanding of compounds was that the first set of words before the final are always in stem form, so they wouldn't change. It wouldn't change in its. So you're discussing here the switching from adding on the vriddhi. Is that the issue? Is why
Okay.
why one's vriddhi and why one's not?
You've made a correct point there, that in a compound, the first element of the compound does not decline. You have it in its stem form. That is correct. But we're discussing a different point here.
This is what I'm trying to clarify. Yes.
Yeah. Which word is it going to be? Is it going to be the simple adjective guru, or are you going to turn it into the abstract noun gaurava?
Okay.
You can do either. Both are correct. It looks slightly anomalous because now you've got adjective. Dvandvas are normally the same parts of speech, a noun and a noun, or an adjective and an adjective. But here you've got, now if you Guru Laghava, you've got adjective followed by noun.
It almost sounds like a grave lightness.
Guru Laghava, actually, on one interpretation, it could have that, it could be an oxymoron on the interpretation that you've mentioned. But obviously, by context, we know that it doesn't mean that. But Guru Laghava, yeah, I mean, technically speaking, linguistically, it could mean a grave lightness.
Almost a Zen-like.
Almost Zen-like. So the grave likeness is, of course, is the very meaning of oxymoron. Oxy, sharp or clever, moron, stupid. So if you're being an oxymoronic, that's where we get the meaning of the word. Cleverly stupid. Oxymoronic means you're being really very clever, but pretending to be stupid. So put those together, oxymoron, clever, stupid, a contradiction in terms. So it could have that meaning, but we know that it doesn't here because of context. Thank you for that, Mariana. I hadn't actually spotted that point, but you're right. It could be that. So all we finish up with in this is that you've got the Guru Laghu. He could have said Guru Laghu Mudhatvam, or Gaurava Laghava Mudhatvam, or as he did in fact say Guru Laghava Mudhatvam. They're all permissible forms. But just bear in mind that Guru here has noun force, heaviness, that which is important. Mm-hmm. As I've got to the end of that explanation, I've got this kind of cold feeling that I might have created more darkness than light, and more mudhatvam, more delusion than clarity.
No, you haven't actually. That's very clear, because I had also understood that in a compound you just have stems, and then it's only the end that declines. But really, Laghava is a stem. So that still fits. That,
but even then, it doesn't decline because it's compounded with mudhatvam, which now it does have to. But don't confuse here with, because when you change Guru to Gaurava, you are not declining the word. You're making a new word, and you still keep it in its stem form. Gauravam on its own, Gauravam. So if you are Gaurave Laghave Mudho, somebody might be Mudha, deluded, gaurave with regard to importance, laghave with they're using the locative here. Your mudha gaurave laghavecha mudhatvam. That would have been equally correct if you'd separated out all of these words. Gaurave or gauravecha laghavecha mudhatvam. State of being deluded, gauravecha, both with regard to heaviness, laghavecha, and with regard to lightness, unimportance. So the language is quite flexible here. All of these forms would be right. But if you change that to gaurava, just remember, don't confuse that with declining it. You're not. You're making a new word, which would also go in the stem form.
So what type of compound is this then? Is it a tatpurusha?
Okay. You've got a compound within a compound. You often have that in Sanskrit. If you just look at Guru Laghava on its own, ignore the mudhatvam for the moment. Guru Laghava is a dvandva compound, just a pair, A and B, or A or B. Putting two men and women, you can say men, women, narastriya. So this is a dvandva compound, A and B. But now you've got a compound of 3 words, Guru Laghava mudhatvam. So the compound, the dvandva compound, looking at it on its own 2 words, now treated as one compound, Guru Laghava, becomes the first element of Guru Laghava mudhatvam. Guru Laghava mudhatvam, taken as a whole, is now a karmadharya compound. Karmadharya, because it's like a determinative compound. Mudhatvam just means delusion. What kind of delusion? Explain the delusion. Guru Laghava mudhatvam, delusion with regard to the important and the unimportant. So you have the dvandva compound, and then that dvandva compound forms the first element of the larger karmadharya compound.
But is the principle here?
Sorry. It is a tatpurusha compound, a determinative compound. So, silly me, my brain is getting too fried. It's a tatpurusha compound. So in other words, the first element, Guru Laghava, determines or qualifies or limits the meaning of the second compound.
Thank you.
So the karmadharya is where it describes rather than determines.
Thank you.
May I ask you?
Please, Bhante.
Yes. The tammesya abhicharatah. It seems to me that your explanation is it's a kind of beyond me. It's a little bit too complicated to me because it's me and abhicharatah. These 2 forms should be the 6th case. Me abhicharatah.
Yes, correct.
You should be agreed. So, but
sorry if I can interrupt you. 6 case, which would also refer to as the genitive case, but yes, it's the
yes, genitive case.
Yes, but equally correct. The shashti vibhakti.
Yes. Actually, apparently, it seems to me that me syad abhicharatah. So as you mentioned, abhicharatah is equal to the panchami. Abhicharatah, right? I think you mentioned, but
okay, yeah, actually that's a very, very good point.
Yes. So if so, me syad abhicharatah. This is from my misjudgment because of my misjudgment.
Yes, that's a very interesting point you've raised. It could be both. Yes, I've said it's that, but you're absolutely right. It could also be that ablative form of the ta ablative ending. It could also be that. Mariano.
I've got my list of declensions here, and both the 5th and the 6th have got a long A before the H, whereas there is a short A. So
in the consonantal declension. In the consonantal declension, it's short.
It is short. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm quickly trying to find it. Long, short. Yeah, this one I got vari for water, and here it is short. And
but vari, you're looking at a neuter ending in an e, which is
yeah. I'm trying to find the other one. All the other ones are long.
But you should be looking at the consonantal declension here.
Yeah, I got it there. I got Marut has got it short, and this one is Naraka Taha. Is it the consonant? Well, anyway, I believe you.
Yes,
Thank
actually,
you very
it's the same as a kutaha. Kutaha from where?
That's right.
Kutaha should be used for from. Tuan kutaha agachasi aham tat sahagamataha agachami. Taha should be the from. So avicharataha from the. So this should be equal to the panchami.
That's an extremely good point you've raised there, and I hadn't spotted that before. That it could equally be both, because the grammatical form would be the same. So just to write it here, I should write on my iPad. Where I put my pen? Here we are. So we've got this ending, this ant ending of the present participle. So the genitive would be avicharata, avicharata. But equally, if you take the noun, take that as a noun, non-thinking, and put the alternative ablative ending on it, you arrive at the same result. So actually, that's a very good point you've made there, Bhante. Thank you. It could be either. The meaning is the same, but the grammatical structure is like either of the unthinking me or of me because of not thinking. So the grammatical form of the words here is coincidentally creates an ambiguity as to which one it is. Anyway, yeah, good point. I will make a note to include that in the revised edition and in the corrections I make as I go along. Thank you, Bhante. That was very good indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, in fact, if you look at the way the Crosby Skelter, through lack of judgment, they are treating it as they've treated it in this translation in the way that you have interpreted it as the alternative ablative form. By the way, we know that the avichara from the normal ablative for the a declension ends in an at, which we had in the previous verse. And and utsargad, it's this ending here, the at ending becomes an ad before the voiced consonant. That's the normal ablative. There is the alternative ablative. Sorry. The alternative ablative ending in a taha, if that is what this is. So I'd go to my iPad again. It was a common form of the ablative in Vedic. It has survived in classical Sanskrit and also in Pali in the form to. Not as a spatial ablative, not actually meaning moving from spatially, but by reason of or with regard to. So, for example, in I forget which sutta it is now, maybe even Majjhima 1.1. You know, he views earth as earth. He views body as body. So, as body, kayato, perceives the kayam kayato pasati. He perceives body as body. You learn so much as you go along. You see, I love spotting these ambiguities in Sanskrit. So we're almost on our time. Does somebody want somebody read it through for me? Okay, who's going to read it through for me? First hand to go up gets to read it. Okay, Christine, the brave Christine.
Why not? I've been sitting quietly here, trying to take it all in.
So I think
if you back again.
Christine, you beat Orca to it by half a second, I think. Sorry.
Well,
you get a turn next time, Orca, promise. Okay, Christine.
Anjan. Okay. Atapi Asta Vadadi Davatyam.
Datavyam.
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 Ichime Ahayam. Guru Nagava Mudatavam Tanme Syad Vicharata.
Can you do the Guru Lagava Mudhatvam once more? Flowing like it. Guru Lagava Mudhatvam.
Guru Lagava Mudhatvam.
That's much better, you see? You did it. You did it very nicely then. Okay, good people. I better cut and run now. I will be seeing some of you for Pali in 15 minutes' time.
Thank you.
And until then, thank you very much and see you all next week.